The Manhattan Project, the race to build destruction.
Our topic is the Manhattan Project, and its significance is that it created stronger weapons, which if used the wrong way could end humanity. It relates to the theme because it started a new era of atomic weapons.
It all started when a German scientist named Otto Hahn made a shocking discovery. He discovered nuclear fission. Nuclear fission allows for the bomb to be made. The bomb works by harnessing the power of splitting atomic nuclei. It works like a chain reaction. When a free neutron hits a radioactive atom's nucleus, which material is most likely uranium or plutonium, then it also strikes more radioactive atoms, then so on and so on. They immediately realized if you could harness this energy, an atomic bomb could be created. But the question was how?
Word leaked out to the Allied powers, but it was still not known to many in the U.S. until physicians Leo Szilard and Enrico Fermi got the word out to Albert Einstein, who would write a letter to Franklin Roosevelt which called for immediate action. The letter warned that Germany was making attempts to build an atomic bomb. It used proof that Germany was working on an atomic bomb because Germany stopped exporting uranium from its newly conquered Czechoslovakian mines. It also urged Roosevelt to create a committee to monitor nuclear developments.
In 1940, the scientists were given $6,000 to start research under the supervision of L.G. Briggs. The U.S. didn't take it seriously.
It was not until 2 years later that Roosevelt would take the step to build the Office of Scientific Research and Development. It was then taken a step further when the Army of Corps Engineers was assigned to build the facilities needed to carry out the project.
The leader of the project was chosen to be Dr. Robert J. Oppenheimer. From the start, he and Groves pursued utmost secrecy, but Oppenheimer thought that the project needed to have a central laboratory for the project to be successful. Oppenheimer chose a secluded site in the town of Los Alamos, New Mexico. Groves approved the site, and in late 1942, it was completed.
As construction groups continued to develop the laboratory at Los Alamos, Oppenheimer turned to his next task, recruiting anyone who could fulfill the needs of the Manhattan Project. People from major universities went to Los Alamos. The people who were recruited arrived at 109 East Palace Avenue, Santa Fe, as they were directed to.
The research would have to continue, but after some time, Soviet spies Klaus Fuchs and Ted Hall would sneak into the project as Soviet spies. They would gather information from the project without anybody noticing, set it off to the KGB in Moscow. The attempt to keep the project out of German and Soviet hands had failed.
While the actual work on designing the bomb was carried out at Los Alamos, the work on producing the precious uranium-235 from the more common uranium-238 was carried out in secret cities such as the Clinton Engineer Works at Oak Ridge, Tennessee. During the research, they would discover the new element of plutonium, so they would make another secret city to supply plutonium in Hanford, Washington.
They would decide to make two bombs, one of uranium and one of plutonium.
In 1945, Roosevelt, the president who started the Manhattan Project, had died, and Harry S. Truman became president. The U.S. was winning battles in the Pacific and was getting closer to an invasion of Japan, with Germany already down. Truman's options were to launch a full-scale invasion of Japan with an estimated casualties ranging from 500,000 to 1 million casualties, about double the population of Wyoming. The other option was to wait for the project to finish and threaten Japan with an atomic bomb, hoping they didn't have to use it.
Truman would approve a test site at Trinity, New Mexico, and the bomb at test was the plutonium bomb. The result was terrifying. As Britannica says, the blast was equal to the force of about 40,000 pounds, 18,000 kilograms of dynamite, 2,000 times greater than the most powerful bomb in existence at the time. The test was conducted in secret, but the effects were felt from as far as 450 miles away in Amarillo, where people could see the flash.
The government was overcoming demands of information. The military used a pre-planned excuse saying that the explosives dumped at Alamogordo Air Base have blown up. No lives are lost.
When the results of the test reached Truman, he sat in shock at the power of the bomb that the Manhattan Project had created.
Truman was given an estimate that a minimum of 250,000 lives would be lost if an attempt to invade Japan was made. Truman knew that Japan would have to give up if they used the atomic bomb. He also knew that it would save hundreds of thousands of American soldiers. As Truman stated later, I made the only decision I ever knew how to make. I did what I thought was right.
The U.S. would issue the Potsdam Declaration to Japan. It would ask for an unconditional surrender. It warned that the alternative was prompt and utter destruction. Japan would reject this offer. Stimson would later say, "We could only proceed to demonstrate the ultimatum had meant exactly what it said."
A group of physicists would fly to Tinian, a U.S.-occupied island near Japan. Over there, they would assemble the uranium bomb. They nicknamed it the Little Boy. The bomb was ready on August 2nd, 1945. By August 5th, the clouds had cleared over Japan. 3 B-29s were headed off to Japan. Their job was to check for good weather.
The job to drop the bomb was given to Colonel Tibbets. His plane, the Enola Gay, took off. He went for Hiroshima, which was located on 6 flat islands. There were about 280,000 civilians living in Hiroshima, plus 43,000 different soldiers. At 8:15 a.m., August 6, 1945, the bomb was dropped out of the plane and fell toward the city.
43 seconds later, the bomb started its chain reaction. The ground beneath the explosion was heated to over 5,000 degrees. Everywhere in Hiroshima, houses were falling, flames igniting the ruins. Buildings were on fire. As Robert Lewis, the co-pilot of the Enola Gay, described, "If I live 100 years, I'll never quite get these few minutes out of my mind."
President Truman was on a ship with other political people when he heard the news. An officer came and gave him a paper with info from the Secretary of War, Henry Stimson. As Truman read the paper, he was shocked. Truman excitedly said, "I have an announcement to make. We have just dropped a new bomb on Japan which has more power than 20,000 tons of TNT. It has been an overwhelming success."
Truman had prepared a statement in advance telling the people about the bomb drop. Soon the White House had sent a message to the people. In the message he stated an American airplane dropped one bomb on Hiroshima. "We are now prepared to obliterate more rapidly and completely every productive enterprise the Japanese have above the ground in any city." The scientists at Los Alamos heard of the bomb via the public news.
When the news of the bomb reached Japan, the officials were terrified. Japan was left with a choice: unconditional surrender, as the Potsdam Declaration says, or keep fighting or risk their citizens' lives.
The White House waited, and no reply from Tokyo on unconditional surrender. Back on Tinian, the second atomic bomb was getting put together. Tibbets' orders were to drop it when the weather was suitable, unless told otherwise. Charles Swinwy was given the job to drop the second bomb, loaded Fat Man, on his B-29. Swinwy flew to his target, Kokura. When he arrived, the city was cloudy and invisible from the sky. They decided to go for the second target, Nagasaki.
Fat Man would explode over Nagasaki, instantly killing more than 40,000 people and leaving tens of thousands wounded. Many said that Tokyo was next. Leslie Groves said to Truman to prepare for the third atomic bomb. It was up to Tokyo to decide whether to take the damage or back out now before any lives were lost.
Japan's Big Six leaders gathered for an emergency meeting at Tokyo. They tried not to surrender, but they were also thinking about their citizens' lives. This debate went on for nearly a day, until Emperor Hirohito made a crucial decision. He said, "I cannot endure the thought of letting my people suffer any longer. The time has come when we must bear the unbearable." Japan surrendered on August 15, 1945.
The project ended in 1945, but its legacy never stopped. It later kick-started the Cold War, which led the USSR and the US to race for the fastest technological advancements. This led to the creation of the Tsar Bomba, which is the most powerful bomb to date.
And with that, the Manhattan Project's history remains at the start of atomic weapons.
Thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a good day.